It's a new season, a new meta, and a new game, which means that you're going to need to know some spots to land at. I mean, either that or you could just land near a hoverboard. I mean, who needs locations, right? Forget the video, let's ride.
Oh my god, no, get the camera!
Here are the landing locations this season, including, but not limited to the new ones, ranked from worst to best. No one location can be the best, so this list is subjective, but going through these will definitely help you guys find the spot that works best for you. Before we get into it though, we are still giving away 8 V-Bucks codes on all platforms every single video, plus an additional 2, which you'll have to join the Discord for on PC. And for all these 150 codes we are giving out over the next 2 weeks, all we ask in return is that you guys like, subscribe, and comment down below. But without further ado, use code T5G in the item shop when you buy a skin, and let's get right into it. Number 10. Tilted Towers. Now, obviously, we were going to be seeing Tilted Towers on this list. It's been a landmark for high-kill gamers and looters since it first showed up on the map. Its high-rise structures and city-like layout gives it a whole new battle vibe to what you usually experience around a lot of other areas in the map, allowing you to venture above that 3-story build height without worrying too much about fall damage, as there's usually something you can catch yourself on. Even though this location is usually very busy, the fact is that there's just so many roofs to land on and windows to dive through that you can almost always get a spot to yourself if you keep an eye on the other players gliding in. With over 30 different chests in this one point of interest, there's always plenty of loot to go around, and if you do happen to be the last squad standing after a 5-minute non-stop Tilted Towers fight, then you're pretty much set for weapons for the rest of the match. However, when this place first showed up, there wasn't really anything like it on the map, which is why you could find 10 to 20% of the lobby there nearly every game. Now, with newer, bigger, and more wilder points of interest showing up on the map, you can even find Tilted Towers being left unlooted, giving you and your squad free reign of Tilted Towers and its loot. And in at number 9, we've got Pirate Outposts. Now, something Fortnite have been adding since the early seasons is smaller locations on the map that aren't main points of interest, but can still help you out if you need somewhere quiet to land or just somewhere to stop by and stock up. Maybe it's just a couple of houses in the middle of nowhere or some giant Easter Island statues that all have loot and rifts for your convenience. It all helps to fill up the gaps in the map and make it more packed with new places to explore. With Season 8's introduction of pirates, there's been quite a few of these smaller pirate-themed locations added that are definitely worth noting. We went ahead and made a little map for you, so go ahead and take a screenshot if you feel this will come in handy. The black filled in circles represent the main pirate buildings. You'll notice they're spread out in a circle around the map with one in the center. Nearly all of them used to be old houses or buildings that have been taken over and revamped into mini pirate forts. They all have plenty of loot considering what used to be there, and they all have cannons allowing you to quickly fast travel to your next location of choice. If you didn't know already, these locations also have pirate loot that will give metal and quite a lot of it. Now, the white dots on the map actually represent vehicles that have been upgraded and turned into pirate land ship. Every single one of them has a chance of 2 chests and a cannon with plenty of materials as well. Similar to the old Easter Island statues, you can quickly land here to grab some guns with minimal chance of fighting for it, and then use the cannon to swanton bomb to the nearest enemies like people used to with the rifts. And in at number 8, we've got X marks the spot locations. For anyone that's been playing for more than a couple of seasons, then you probably know how quiet the northwest corner of the map was becoming. Not much with the landscape has actually changed over the past year or so, except for risky reels being replaced by the block. Tomato Town got a revamp. Into Tomato Town, a few other little things were added, but the whole area in general pretty much stayed the same since Season 1. Now, obviously that's not the case anymore, but beforehand, this corner of the map was only really popular for people trying to practice, explore the new block build, or those going for some survival scrim matches. Now though, it's completely different. All around the top right corner, it's become a brilliant way to set yourself up early game. Starting from the very far east side of the map, you can find a set of rocks set out to form a big X. There's a chance for 2 chests, and that may not sound like much, I know, but the fact is that there's small areas like this going all the way up to Sonny steps, all hidden amongst a highly defensive and dense forest. This adds up to a lot of loot with added geysers, and you can easily travel around the whole area extremely quickly. But in at number 7, we've got Paradise Palms. Welcome to Paradise Palms. It's one of the newer locations, but it's definitely still going to be a popular place to land. The fact is that Paradise Palms is one of the biggest locations in that area of the map. Just like the top left has Tilted Towers, the bottom right has Paradise Palms. It may not be quite as big, but with its massive houses and giant apartment buildings, there's still a lot of different places to land, and stocking up has never been better when it comes to Paradise Palms. Boy, is that place bountiful. One of the handiest parts about diving down to Paradise Palms is if you get a late dive or just want to play it a bit safe, you can land on one of the nearby mountains, grab a couple of possible chests, and use a rift to glide down and figure out exactly where's best to make your attack. It gives you a massive advantage figuring out where other players are in the town and can instantly claim you the high ground if you can take the top of the tower. Once you're done taking over Paradise Palms, there's plenty of material to gather and close by rifts, allowing you to quick travel to your next location. Just remember that these locations will be better or worse than the others depending on where you come in from the battle bus. But in at number 6, we've got Loot Lake. I know what you're thinking, Loot Lake, why? Well, hear me out for a second. Yes, before a lot of recent activity, Loot Lake used to be one of the not so great locations. In fact, we actually added to our list of locations to be removed a while back. But since Kevin the Cube absolutely demolished the area, it's actually turned into the location deserving of its name. The lake used to be an annoying bunny hopping snail's pace across the water, but now that's only small areas of the whole lake. Its center area alone has at least 10 possible chests for you, and that's amongst all that floor loot that you can find too. With its deep crater, massive rocks from the floating island, and metal containers, it's actually fairly defensive. The only real issue with this area is the material, mainly being around the edges of the lake, so you can sometimes get caught without any builds, but that's not much of a risk considering most of the time you'll probably get this location to yourself without much of a fight, and because it's a central location, you won't exactly have to run far from the storm, if at all. Once you're done quickly looting there, you can also head right next door to any neighboring locations like Tilted Towers and finish off the remaining enemies in there. But in number 5, we've got the hangars behind the volcano. The best thing about the massive forest covering the whole top right corner of the map is that there's still a lot of pretty cool or handy locations that some people still don't know about. The whole north side of the map from Lazy Lagoon over to Sunny Steps is covered in the airplane hangar style buildings, some almost completely hidden by the greenery in the area. But these are all fairly handy places to stop at before heading to the next big location. Maybe you and your squad want to ambush the volcano, but want to make sure you're kitted out. Grab a building each, loot up, and head to one of the many close geysers and land on your opponents before they know what's happening. A lot of these structures are very close together, so you can even just travel along the top of the map looting up. But in number 4, we've got Lazy Lagoon. This was probably an obvious spot on today's list. It's a literal beach paradise. I mean, who doesn't want to go there? But aesthetics aside, it's also a really good landing location. The entire area is full of objects that will give you a lot more material than normal, which is super useful for those pro builders out there. Now, the actual lagoon can be a little annoying to leapfrog across, but if you manage to take the ship, it can be really defensive. There's been a few times now where my squad on the ship will be having a full-on pirate battle with another squad who landed at the town. It's just a super fun and beautiful place to land, which means at the moment, while it's new, you can find quite a lot of people landing here. Plus, the wooden ship has a lot of material. There's pallets and boxes everywhere, plus the actual captain's desk, for some reason, gives you an insane amount of wood for just one hit. Number 3, Sunny Steps. It's one of the biggest locations other than a giant volcano and has been warmly welcomed by many in the community. It has that old Aztec style to its structures and figureheads that really make you feel as though you may be on some deserted island forgotten by time. Considering it's quite a compact area and looks fairly simple from above, the actual structures can be like a literal maze, making it easier for anyone that's learned the area well to outplay their opponents. A lot of these new areas are a lot about learning the layout first to give you that advantage. With over 15 chests hidden amongst these structures, plus all the floor loot, it's fairly easy to grab yourself a gun even if there is 10 other people landing around you. And make sure to take into account that when you're landing, these awesome new locations will almost always have a lot of people landing there, especially if it's the first stop on the battle bus. So unless you're an actual god of the game, try to land in one of the edge buildings. If you dive straight for a middle building, it's most likely going to be the end of you. You might end up getting pinched and all of that sort of stuff. And that's where, you know, pick your fights. You can win the fight before you even start it by deciding when and when not to engage, that kind of thing. But in at number 2, we've got the Volcano Throne Room. At the number 2 spot, we have that brand new volcano. It's probably one of the biggest locations on the map at the moment, and it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Will a dragon fly out of it at any point in time, or a magma monster? As a landing location, this is going to be a super useful location for you skilled gliders. Depending on the bus route, you can either go through the top pole or one of the few side entrances. Now, if you and the squad are quick flyers, then you'll pretty much control the volcano instantly. There's only one main loot area where the throne is, with a possible 3 chests and a bunch of floor loot. Then there's a couple smaller areas behind the 2 pillars that each have a possible couple chests. If your team get in first and grab all the compacted loot, there'll be none for anyone else, giving you control of the area and the volcano. I mean, that's quite the flex. Like, check out my volcano, homie. If you do happen to be the one who lands late, then don't try to take a risky fight. Just use those hot waves to ride your way out of the volcano to somewhere safer around the edge. But in number 1, we've got the legendary chest at the block. Now, a lot of people are going to be surprised by the block being our number 1 spot. Now, even though Hellraiser's Castle is made amazing. It's actually more about the loot Epic Games put inside that has made this a brilliant location to land. If you make your way inside, on the lower left levels, you can find a legendary chest on top of a couple of bookcases. So why is it that this one chest has beaten so many other locations? Well, it drops you a guaranteed legendary weapon like an RPG or heavy assault rifle, some heals, a trait type, and even a random alternative item. If you manage to land on this chest and grab its contents first, you've pretty much set yourself up early game against people running around with the basic floor loot they've only just found. I mean, where else can you get yourself a free guaranteed legendary weapon other than at random chance? But that has been our list of the top 10 Season 8 Fortnite landing locations ranked from worst to best. The codes that we've been giving out for the last couple of videos, we actually put in the video, but we got them at Walmart's self-checkout, and wouldn't you know, they're not actually redeeming because self-checkout doesn't activate the codes. So we had to go back to Walmart, we got our money back, and so we have to re-give out working ones. Just wanted to let you guys know because the first few videos, those codes were all working, but the last few videos, we have to re-drop them since Walmart self-checkout isn't apparently with activation protocol. Be sure to click that like button if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, push notifications on, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.